I'm just gonna bend the bars back and we'll do it again.
That video you just watched sums up my 12 years of stunt riding. From going from zero, beginner rider, all the way to a top 1% street rider. From being the worst guy in the pack to being the first street rider on Team Magura, sponsorship by EBC and Roo Rock. And today, I'm gonna stop gatekeeping and tell you how I did it. And it has nothing to do with talent, natural ability, connections, or plugs. If anything, I didn't possess any of those things. This is something that you'd never expect. It has been 12 years since I first threw my leg over the bike, and let me tell you, bro, it has been a journey. Going from a beginner, nobody, trying to figure everything out, never turned a wrench, never worked on a bike, learning all these things, and just really submerging myself into stunt riding has changed my life forever. And not a lot of people would expect that a bike, breaking the law, hospital visits, court cases, all these kind of things would change a man at his core, but it truly has. And when I first started riding, I saw only the positives. And that is a very, very dangerous place to be because you attach yourself to the positivity, right? Which is most of the time it's the results. So I saw guys riding good. I saw guys getting sponsors. I saw guys getting clout. Unfortunately, I did get caught up in that. And when I first started riding, I was very naive because I thought those are the only things that were going to come, right? People would want to watch you. You'd get attention. It seemed like, all right, yeah, I'm going to have to put in some work, but it's the guys that I was around, they were all pretty good. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be smooth sailing. And I quickly found out that was not the case. I mean, even literally the first time that I ever tried to do a wheelie, I rolled the bike across a parking lot, and that was a wake-up call. And I quickly realized that this was gonna be a hell of a ride if I wanted to continue to do this thing and I wanted to be good at it. And I sat back and I started looking at the negatives. And you might ask, why would you look at the negatives? And this is something that I do in my life today, in every aspect, in my business, in my family, all these types of things. I started taking my energy away from the positives and I started looking at the negatives. Why is this important? Because are you willing to go through the negative portions of the journey of whatever it is that you're applying this mindset to? It's a question you have to ask yourself. So again, I looked at clout, I looked at attention. I looked at, being good. I looked at the rewards for my efforts, which was the practice and then, doing the tricks or, having the talent that I wanted. And I shifted my energy to guys are crashing. Guys are breaking bones. Guys are breaking their bikes. Guys are breaking their bank accounts, right? Doing this and fixing the bikes and traveling and doing all that kind of stuff. And I decided, okay, bro, you're not that good at this. You don't have a lot of natural ability at this thing. It's not clicking like other things have clicked in your life, like sports and other things of that nature. So if talent is not your edge, and this is what I want to talk about, is, I found my edge in the game. It wasn't talent. It wasn't actual natural ability for the bike. I did have natural athleticism, but I didn't have a natural ability for stunt riding. My edge was going to be my attitude. I've always been a dog. I've always worked my ass off, like to the end of the earth, to death in sports that I played. And that was going to be my edge. The negatives were, again, breaking bones, breaking bikes, breaking bank accounts, dedicating your life to this thing. I realized that I watch people drop out of the game. I'm like, why are people leaving? This doesn't make sense, right? I love this thing. And again, I was new. I was very naive. But all I could think about was, how could you quit? Like, I love this so much. I could never not see myself riding this bike. But again, I saw people quit. I saw people drop out. I saw people retire. I saw, all these kind of things. And I'm thinking in my head, there has to be a reason for this. And that was those negatives that I just talked about. Guys were broke. Guys were broken. Their spirits were broken. They were, getting caught up in court cases and all these things that comes with the game. And I was like, damn, that's actually what I'm missing. It's not about talent and natural ability, again, which is what I was focused on, all the positives. It's the negatives. So before things get crazy, I need to figure out what my edge is. And my edge was going to be my attitude. And I know that sounds corny, but what I saw was a lack of longevity in the game. That's what I saw. So I was determined just to outlast all the things that were making people quit. Okay. So if there was a time where I was going to be broke, if there was a time I was going to be broken, if there was a time where I wasn't going to be able to ride because I was broke and the bike was broke and I couldn't fix it, I was going to outlast all these things. So in the first video that you watched, crashing and burning and picking up the bike, bending the bars back and doing it again, that is the thing that led me from going from 0 to hero, from going from the beginner rider, taking longer than everybody else and learning how to wheelie, to being a top 1% stunt rider, top 10 in the country. It was my attitude. It wasn't my talent, contrary to what people think by just watching somebody on the internet. That's why I like to tell my story, because people don't really know what I went through. People don't really know how much work I put in. People don't really know how much I sacrificed for this thing. It wasn't my talent. It wasn't my natural ability. It wasn't the fact that I had connections for sponsorships or anything. I didn't have any of this stuff. I decided that my edge and where I was going to hang my hat, where I was going to take pride in, was not my skill set, because I knew that the skill set was the payoff. I knew that the wheelies and the tricks and the clout and all these kind of things that I was focused on at first was going to come from the payoff of my attitude, was going to come from the payoff of outlasting everything that makes people quit, which again was being broke, being broken, having the bike broken, and having a broken spirit. As long as I can have this attitude of no matter what happens, I'm going to bend the bars back and do it again, I knew that something would come from this. And again, I have applied this everywhere in my life. And so how can you apply this to your life? I know that's what you want to know, and I know that's what you care about. So look at the negatives of the thing that you're doing. We know you want the positives. We all know that. But look at the negatives. Why? Because those are the things that are making people quit and literally pull themselves out of the game. So whatever those things are, if you can continue to outlast those and adapt the attitude of every time I crash and burn, this is what makes people quit. And instead of walking away, I'm going to bend the fucking bars back and do it again. I know you will come out successful.